All right, this is Ampo, the Kaja Score Circle, and you are now watching the Three Count Podcast.
Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me. Do you wanna get live with me? Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna
Welcome
ride
everybody
with
to
me?
another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, with season 4, our 300 and something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa because, like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this man at PWX. You can find this man at UCW, HWT, and HWF. He is the kaiju of the squared circle. He is 6'5", 265 pounds of lean, mean fighting machine. He is Ampo.
Well, thank you for the introduction.
Well,
It's
it is
wonderful.
awesome to have you on, man. So you and I have actually been in a ring together, at HWT, and we had a lot of fun in our matchup. And you have gone on to do some pretty cool things, Three River Champion over at PWX. And I've been kind of mindful, man, just kind of keeping you in the eye and just seeing you doing the things that you do. And I'm very happy to see how well you're like progressing, man. So, big ups to you.
Yeah, I definitely need that rematch from you before you hang your boots up.
Oh yeah, but we kept running into each other up until the point where I moved. So like, for those who don't know who you are, who is Ampo?
Well, born in Madagascar, finding the love of professional wrestling was through the good old tape trade, whatever you get your hands on. So after finding that, doing research, I went to Japan to do training, where I got the shit beat out of me. And some people say that wasn't the way to be trained in Japan. So living in Tokyo was cool. It is cool. And here and there, I take a 17-hour flight to the States and whoop ass,
Nice.
deliver the punishment.
I like it. I like it. It's one of those things too, man. It's like and everybody has like their way of saying like that's not how you're supposed to get trained, or this is how you're supposed to get trained. Everybody had like their own opinion about on how things are, but like different countries, different places have different ways of doing things. So it's like, how can you classify by saying like this is the way to be trained, right? Like if you're a Mandalorian and you're being trained by the Mandos, like that is the way to be trained. But if you're a luchador or you're a wrestler or you're, you know, you're working wherever, man. Like even in Japan or whether you're in Mexico or you're in the US or in England, there's different ways to be trained. So who's to say that that style of training wasn't the way that was being trained in like Tokyo, Japan?
Yeah, I'm about to say some people think it's brutal. They made a documentary called Gaia Girls, and they beat the shit out of them.
Mm.
Basically, to say if you can take this ass whooping, then we'll be nice to you, like the good old '80s territory days.
Well, I guess apparently it sounds like some people just don't understand how the business has evolved and changed and stuff like that. But it is credit though, because in Japan though, we always talk about certain wrestlers and like their toughness and like how they're just like how we all love like watching them work, whether it's like an Okada, Ultimo Dragon, Shibata, right? Uh Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay, like those guys too. They came over from the Britain side of things and went to Japan to learn. TJP talks about it all the time. So it is crazy to hear. But then like you said, like once you get past like that initiation phase, like it's just there's a respect level that is given to you after that.
Yeah, because it's the brotherhood of we're not going to give you all the secrets, because if you're not truly into this, why will we continue to put our efforts into you?
Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. It's one of those things. It's crazy though, man. Just like when you hear about everybody's like, "No, you wanna do this in the business, and you wanna learn how to do this and this, and train this way, and then we want you to be kind to everybody," and it's like, "Well, yeah, but this is." Let's be real, like, pro wrestling, at least in the US, is a very shady business, like, I don't mean to peel back the curtain back like that, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, people are trying to get the most that they can for the least that they have to do, and, you know, be happy with it, you know? It's crazy that people are always like, "Nah, nah, that this it is what it is." Like, "Bro, that's just how the way the business works." I'm like,
This is how it is. You just have to get yours and get out. Like,
exactly. We hear that, like, all the time.
get yours,
Uh,
get out. And then there's the humble ones that like I want to leave the business better than I went into it.
and there are a few people like that. They're I feel I say there's a few, but there's actually, like, a ton of people that I've met that are like, "I wanna be that guy," right?
Yeah.
And it's cool to see, it's very fun to talk to those people because you genuinely learn a lot from those guys about the way that the business is or the way that the business should be and how they're doing their thing to change it and amplify, like, put a big light on everything. So it is crazy that there are those few carnies out there who are like, "Nah, Imma do things my way, and I'm just gonna do it," right? So it is very weird to me that what's good for what helps rise all tides and all ships, like, some people are just like, "No, I don't wanna do that." And it's weird because we always talk about how, like, we wanna help the next person out and we wanna train them to be better than what we were, but then, you have people who are just like, "No, I'm not doing that. No, not at all."
No, and then we get punished because just say we do help someone or attempt to. It's like, oh no, focus on yourself. You don't need to help no one.
Yeah. It's weird too, like, we it's like a brother it's weird because, like, in the military too, like, we have, like, a brotherhood, right? It's a brotherhood of military, and we always talk shit about everybody else, right? So whether it's the Navy or the Air Force or the Army or the Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, National Guard, Air National Guard at that, we always talk trash about each other, right? But at the end of the day, we all understand the mission that we have, right? Which is, like, putting out the best fighting force that we can for the world to see. And in wrestling, it should be that same way, right? Whether you're in the Indies, WWE, AEW, Impact, whatever, New Japan, right? All Japan, and it's all about like we're putting on the best product that we can for people. So why is it in the end that you're like, hey, I have to close down the world or have to focus on yourself and not help the show get the best that it can and don't help that person out because that's not what is allowed. Now, whether that person gets canceled or they're a shitty person and they commit a crime or something like that, that's one thing, right? But if it's just like your average person, like it's like I come to you, right? I'm like, hey man, I know that you're working really hard in Pennsylvania. Hey, let me help you out and get you up here in Massachusetts. Big difference, you know? And it's just it's weird to see that people are like, "Nah, nah, 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 just focus on you. You can handle it. You can do you." And I'm like,
It's the
"That's
ego because as soon as someone feels threatened that oh this person is trying to outwork me, I can't let that happen. Booker promoter's not gonna bring me back because they don't think I'm a hot commodity no more. And then they're just like, yeah, they'll give you the wrong advice, or they'll give you the right advice at the wrong time to where you try to use it and then you're wrong for attempting that situation.
yeah." It it's crazy. It's crazy how this world works, man, in this place. So let me ask you, man, like what got you to want to come into wrestling? Like you said tape trading, but I'm just curious, like is there a certain wrestler that got you like you're like, yeah, that's the dude. That's who I want to be like or what?
So tape trading, yes. After seeing Kenta Kobashi, Kawada, Masala, seeing them like, yeah, it's like their humbleness. Literally, it'll be they just walk to the ring, no fancy anything, maybe get flowers or whatever, but as soon as the bell rings, it's you are in battle for X amount of time to where you are there to show people who you really are. So after seeing that, I just got hooked. I'm like, I need to do that when I get older. So technology comes, internet comes, find out where to go. And when I had the chance, saved up everything and left the island.
That works out though, man. And that's kind of cool though that you're just like, hey, like research, research, research. Like you were putting in the work to like find out like how I can break into something like this and make things work for me. And it's cool. It's cool. And the thing I like about like being around you is too is that like you have like this tendency of like rubbing off on people with like the right kind of attitude where it's like, hey man, like I just want to help you get better and keep working and grind. But then the other part about it too with yourself is that like you're one of these individuals that like, hey, I want to expand my repertoire, right? Because I know we've talked about like me uh, getting a brand new mask and stuff like that. You've talked about building gear for people. You've talked about building your gear, right, and your set, and even like the mask you're wearing now is not a mask that I've seen before, right? And I've seen I don't know, I've probably seen you like 6 or 7 different masks. So it's cool to see that you're expanding your repertoire and what people in the business would say is like making yourself an asset to the business versus like, hey, book me because I'm a good wrestler. No, you're like, book me because I can wrestle and I can do these other things as well.
Exactly. It's like anybody can wrestle. They always say you can teach a monkey to wrestle. So, what is the quote unquote it factor? What is the thing that will make them want to bring you back? So, with me, most places I go, I'm the only masked person there. If somebody does have a mask, it's for entrance purposes only, and then they're just like everybody else. Uh, Being a bigger guy, being agile like me, sets me slightly away from the rest. But with with that mm, with that skill comes the hate with it of, oh, you're so big you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that. So it's always every positive is a negative in someone's eyes.
Well, I remember. Okay, so like I'm gonna put it out there too, and we can have discussions about it too. So I remember like we were working a match at HWT. We had a third person with us. Uh,
Zach.
Zach,
Yeah,
right?
I can't remember the last name, but Zach, and he
Yeah,
has
Zach During.
yes,
Um,
he has evolved also.
yeah, so I'm
He
I'm I'm so happy seeing him work with TJ and like them just run wild all over H2O and stuff like that. Big shout outs. Sorry, sorry, Zach. I know, I know we forgot, but so it was all three of us, right? And Zach is a little guy, and then myself. I'm gonna say I'm not a little guy, but I'm definitely not a big guy either. And you were the biggest guy in our match, and we had this talk in the back where you wanted to you wanted to hit a moonsault, right? And I had told you in the purpose of the match, it wasn't going to make sense to hit right a moonsault, and you kept I'll say you kept insisting, right? And I was like, no, we're not gonna do this because I was like, in a sense, I was like, it was like a David and Goliath match, right? And in what sense would it make sense for Goliath, right, to now show that he has the ability to be springboard. Um and so in that match you didn't get the chance to, you didn't get the opportunity to, but I know like at PWX when you got to work with Prince Machiavelli, you got to hit your moonsault in that match. And it was one of those things where like at that point it made sense, right? Like you're a face, he's like the heel, and like you had to hit a big move, and so you got to hit this moonsault. And so when I think about that every once in a while, and I don't want it to make it seem like I didn't want to make it seem like because you're a big guy, you shouldn't be doing moonsaults. It was more the sense of like in the sense of our story, like I was the face and you were a heel, and I was like, I get that sometimes like guys will hit moonsaults, but at this point, I didn't think it made sense. And like I don't really remember if I had a full conversation with you about it, but I wanted it just to be sure, like, hey, like I wasn't trying to be malicious. I just wanted to be like, hey, in our story with two light guys and then this big hawking kaiju. I didn't think it was gonna make sense, and I didn't know if I felt like that was a good call or not. But I just wanted to kind of reiterate my point, if that makes sense.
No, no, no.
Uh,
No, you about to say everybody wants to have the best match possible, and it's just if we if it can't make sense, it shouldn't be done.
yeah, and I saw, like I said, when you was working with Prince and you hit that in the match, I was like, that makes sense. I like that.
About to say recently, I was in a triple threat where one person did it and uh, threw him out the ring. And I'm like, and I looked at the crowd. And I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it too. Went for it. My legs caught the bottom ropes and it went bad.
Damn, hold on a second.
No problem.
I'm gonna do some massive editing in this podcast. All right. Oh, wait, so your feet caught the middle rope and it just went disastrously?
So yeah, so I didn't double check how close I was to the ropes, and when I went to jump, my bottom feet caught the ropes, and I just went up and down.
Which
And as soon as I hit, I'm like, I guess I can't do it.
so, and it goes back to something that we talk about a lot, right? It's just like ring positioning and ring awareness. It's just like
Yeah,
knowing where you are in the ring and how to like move like fluidly and know, hey, I can hit this move right here, right now, or I have to wait and go for it. So, well, no, it's and that sounds like a good lesson to learn, but
no,
also not a very fun bump.
no, it was jump, pow, ow.
Well, okay, a question I'm gonna ask you, right, is what's the worst bump you've taken?
The worst I've taken. Self-inflicting or taking a move.
Why not both?
Worse. All right. So I mean, when adrenaline hits, you don't feel nothing. So I said self-inflicting is I'll go to the top for a swan time. Haven't hit one in my career. Dude always moves. So that's probably the worst self-inflicting. And then I was the person getting superplexed on a tower of doom,
Mm,
and the ring wasn't friendly.
mm.
It was thin padding and brand new boards.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, well, yeah, literally, it was a triple threat.
It was a triple threat.
Yeah, so it's a triple threat. Dude, dude called for it, and I'm like, I'm the biggest person. I should be at the bottom of the total pole, but he, in lesser kind words, played politics, and
Mm.
yeah, so I took a superplex from a power bomb off the top rope on branding boards.
Yeah, no, no, I'm great. I'm great where I
So I hit, I rolled to my side, and I'm like, "Fuck this!" and the
I'm out,
crowd's like,
I'm out.
and then the
Go
crowd's
home.
like, "Oh, he cussed." I'm like, "Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
go home. Go,
yeah.
go,
We're,
go home.
we're wrapping it up now."
That's it, we're done. We're
Nah,
out this place.
yeah,
I remember, I got to work in a ring, it was a brand new ring, brand new boards, and thank goodness, like, the padding, I think it was, like, 3/4 to an inch thick, so it was pretty thick, um, but it still didn't stop. I got to hit this, I just hit a vertical suplex in the match, and, like, when I hit the ground, I was like, and I was the one giving the vertical suplex, so I just couldn't imagine what it was like for someone who was taking it. I was like, "God, no, man. No big bumps," because I was like, "That sucked 100%."
Like I said, we're going to work. We're just going to go ahead and walk and talk.
Mm-mm. No, 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 no. I can pass on all of that. So let me ask you another question because we just talked about the moonsault that didn't go so well, and I just kind of and we talked about worst bumps, but it was a hard lesson for you to learn. So I want to know what's the hardest lesson you've had to learn being in the business so far?
Card subject to change.
Hmm.
Me being predominantly, well, so my, I guess, home promotion. It's, but so you've been there. You've seen the. We'll keep it light and say politics. So I will get told what I'm doing or what they want to tell to the audience. We will plant the seeds that show next show completely scrapped. We're going to do something completely different. And then, how long ago was it? If this is September, June, July area, maybe even April, I had a shot at the world title. Gave it my all, came up short, kicked out at 3-1. Still lost. Crowds chanting 5 more minutes, rematch. I'm crying in the middle of the ring. Promoter comes to me and says, "You did good. We want you to chase it." Next month, card subject to change. I'm in a 3-way for the title. Title changes. I'm not champion. I'm one counting the lights because egos and politics.
Mm.
So after losing and being jumped after the show or after the match, I sat in the middle of the ring and contemplated taking my mask off and leaving the business. So now I show up to every booking I have with the mentality show up and work.
I think that's the best way to have things done, right? Like I never have intentions of like someone will tell me a plan, right? And it sounds great in storyline or in just in kayfabe. Let's be real. It just sounds good. But the problem ends up being is that like you never know what's on the back end of things, and so I never push for certain things, right? And I think that's also like a detriment to myself is that like because I don't push to get certain things done, like I'm not pushing to get like championship matches or titles or anything. A lot of people will pass me up. I got told that I'm too nice of a guy sometimes because I'm just sit back and I'm like, hey, if you just do what you're told, like things will happen. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, maybe, but I'm not gonna sit here and bitch. I'm just gonna show up, go to work, do the thing I gotta do. I do what you asked me to do, and then just keep it pushing. I was like, I don't got. Listen. I'm no spring chicken, right, at all, and I've made that well known on this show. But in the same token, like I'm also like, if the promoter has an idea for a show, he's gonna tell me what that idea is. He's gonna say, hey, I want you to do X, Y, Z. But if if things change, I'm not hurt because I'm like, listen, whatever's going on, it is what it is. I'm just gonna keep doing the thing that I want to do because all I want to do is go out, put on the best match that I can, and just have fun doing whatever it is I'm doing, and be genuine about it. Because I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, and I'm not gonna be the guy that's like, oh, I wouldn't take it, right? I would love to be the face of a company, right? I would definitely would love to be able to do that someday, but it just seems like sometimes we just on a whim, like a promoter will be like, "Well, we like that guy, but we're gonna go with this guy instead." Like, cool, whatever, and just keep it
Yep.
pushing. What match do you want me to do? Oh, you want me in this match? You want me to do this? Cool, whatever. And put on the best match I can, and just go, and just can keep it going. Like, it doesn't make any sense to like. I think I got wrapped up in it at first, right? My second year in, I got wrapped up into it because people were like, "Oh man, we're gonna do this, this, and this with you, and we're gonna put this, and that on you, and this is going on, blah 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 blah." And then I was like, "Okay, cool." And here I am, like,
Waiting for it to happen, and you're doing
yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it.
let's
Hey,
go. This is
this
what we're gonna do." And then like out of nowhere, it doesn't happen, right? Or like they just tell you like, "Hey man, like sorry, I just can't do it right now. I'm gonna do this instead." I'm like, whatever. And that's the point. Like I was getting frustrated, and I was like, you know what? Ain't a big deal anymore. I'm just gonna go out there. I'm gonna put on the best match that I can, have fun with whoever it is I'm working with, and just go about my business. Because I really don't. I really shouldn't care at this point. That I'm like, hey, why am I not? Like, I want to work to be your face of your company, but if you don't want me to be the face of your company, that's fine. I'm just gonna go have fun, put on the best match I can, and just do what I gotta do. And that's the mentality. Now the mentality I have now is like, I just want to be the best team player I can be. I want to put on the best match and have the show be the best show that you've had. Because at the end of the day, that's what's needed. That's what's needed to get done. So that's where I got to.
Yeah, after doing training sessions with people, working with people, picking brains like we're supposed to, I've learned to just show up and work, and uh, if they don't see it, make them see it.
Facts. I like that. So listen, we're gonna get into the best part of the three count podcast. It's one of my favorite things. It's called the three count podcast, 10 count questions. And this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And whatever your answer is, that is your answer.
Oh God! All right.
So we're gonna put on imaginary timer for add pressure. Bing! And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown
Favorite actor?
actor Donnie Yen.
X-Men or Justice League?
X-Men Marvel all day.
Hey, I like that. Favorite movie?
God. Favorite movie, something I could watch all day. Uh, Probably second Deadpool.
Okay, I like that. For more than one reason. Everybody knows why. PlayStation or Xbox?
uh, See, when I was younger, I had PlayStation up to PlayStation 2, and then I switched over to Xbox. And what I got right now, I'm gonna go with Xbox.
Okay. Favorite cartoon?
Beast Wars Transformers.
It's a good one. Let's go with Android or iPhone.
iPhone.
Okay, and then favorite podcast.
Favorite podcast. Oh man. See, all my favorite podcasts, they've closed after maybe 10 to 12 episodes. Sucks. Uh I'll probably say yours. I'll be a fan of yours. And
Hell
watch
yeah,
your
because
close.
we don't quit after 10 episodes. We've had over 300. Actually, we've had over 400 if you include the debate show and all the other crazy shows that we've had on this show.
Yeah, because I've what helps me get through the day. I was listening to William Regals because
Mm.
that was your under the learning tree. I've Then it switched to Dax Hardwood, and he got death threats and a whole bunch of hate mail, so he quit that. I've listened to WWE's Chelsea Green's podcast, which was over after one season, basically. And then if you're a wrestler, I'll listen to it. I also like conspiracy theories and unsolved murders.
I feel like a lot of people are into those. A lot of people are into
The
that.
the one I the people of the one I watched, listen to the most, basically, you learn that before there was DNA evidence, people got away with a lot of wild shit, especially in the U.S.
That's yeah. There's 100% facts of that. I can agree to that. Let's jump into it. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
One person on this podcast, Shane Malice.
Yes. Yes, I've been trying to get Shane on the show for so
I
long.
was about to say I was just on a show with him, and me and him are trying to set up a match.
Yeah, Shane is.
Don't know where, but it has to happen.
I think I've been trying like shoot wise. I've been trying to get Shane on the show for like 4 years now.
Well,
uh,
last time I talked to him, he was like, "Yeah, I had to switch jobs and redo my schedule and everything." I'm like, "All right, bro, just whenever a promoter hits you, I'm gonna need you to answer that."
right. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this podcast: favorite curse word.
Whore.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
it's I don't know, cause recently I've been calling people pussy punk bitches.
Mm, that's
Rolls
another good one.
just rolls off the tongue, so
It does. It really does.
it gets all the enunciation of being mad. So
So listen, like those are all the questions I do have for you. So the last thing I need for you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Ampo the Destroyer. Um, I'm the only person with the name, other than the kaiju itself from the Godzilla franchise. So just search that. You see my name on the screen. Search it. I'll apologize now. My YouTube is out of date, but I'm working on it. I have the footage. I just don't have the time to upload it. So we're slowly getting there.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. So I'm always like trying to upload stuff to my own personal YouTube page and get stuff done. Like I have my vlogging channel that I have not posted a vlog on there in like 3 weeks because I've been so busy trying to handle this podcast that I'm like I apologize. So when you guys see this episode, just know that this it'll date itself. You guys will go back like a few weeks and be like, man, I haven't seen a vlog from Cliff in a long time. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason for it.
I'm sorry, but it just has to happen.
It's a lot. It's a lot. When you're trying to build stuff, it is a lot. It takes a lot of time. So it is definitely hard to do. But like every great part of wrestling match, well, actually, first off, he gave you his handles. He told you we could find him, and he even told you about his YouTube channel, which he is currently still fixing stuff on. But like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like every good Sherpa, it's never about me, it's about who's entering. So who's entering the ring? You see him right there, the kaiju of the square circle himself, Ampo. And you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately follow us on all of our social media platforms, which is just right down there. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're even leaving those 5-star Frog Splash reviews and checking us out on Amazon Music because we are there too. You're buying our merch on ProWrestlingTees.com or ForYourWear.com if that's updated yet. And you're even checking us out on Big Plus Network right now because, this is where we are now. You're checking all that stuff. You're telling your friends about us. You're leaving comments. You're leaving those shares. You're telling all your family members, your dogs, your enemies, even your best friend at school, and your favorite teacher. You're doing all that stuff. You're telling everybody everything about us, or you're really just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is just kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast. go onto our Twitch channel, 3Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3Count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, between time, love y'all.